Hello, welcome back to Zero Waste Wiltshire. A few things to talk about today. Chocolate. For me, if it's not Cadbury's Dairy Milk, it's not chocolate. And how can I possibly live without Cadbury's Dairy Milk? Tony's chocolate. I have to talk about this. I found this in the farm shop, Allington Farm Shop. Love Allington Farm Shop. I get everything from Allington Farm Shop. I get my fruit and veg, I get my meat, and some frozen things. Oh, that reminds me, I've got some frozen things in the fridge. Anyway, in the freezer. And I found this there. The chocolate comes in this paper and then tin foil, and they have some brilliant principles. It says on the inside that they are working for slavery-free chocolate. This is a very good thing. Which is very much like Divine. You can see, if you know me well, I'm not a person who's going to live without chocolate, not for very long. And so Divine also, obviously fair trade, etc. If I can buy fair trade, I will, wherever possible. I think it's a really good thing. I just wanted to talk a little bit about motivation because I've got to that point in the month, it's the 16th of July today, where I'm, is this worth it? It's a lot of extra effort. Sometimes it's extra money. It's definitely a lot of extra effort, whatever the money situation, it's a lot of extra effort. And a little bit of going without as well. Like I said last time, I'm just sorry, kicking the camera. I'm missing my granola a bit. Motivation. Whenever I think, oh, it's not worth it, etc., I just think of that meme I've seen where it says, it's only one plastic straw, said 6 billion people. And that's it for me. We've only got this one planet. We've got to do something about the mess we're making of it. It is, yes, it's only one straw today, maybe, but we have a whole lifetime, and if you add up your waste over the whole lifetime, it's huge. And then you multiply it by 6 billion people. We've got to change this. And so at the moment, whilst it's harder and more expensive sometimes, we've got to make these changes. If we all make these changes, business will change as well. I'm loving the Extinction Rebellion stuff that folk are doing, and I think that's really brave as well, and I'm not sure I'm that brave. But if we can all do our little bit, that change is going to happen eventually. We can't go on like this forever. It's just, we're running out of resources, we're running out of landfill. What are we going to do? We've got to do something. And then the other bit of motivation is that it's the poorest people who are going to suffer most from climate change. I don't think I'm going to suffer that much from climate change. Maybe my children will a bit more. I don't live by the sea. I don't depend on fishing for my income. I don't depend on farming for my income. Brexit's coming up and people are talking about food uncertainty and stocking up and that sort of thing, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'll stock up. And then I'm thinking, well, actually, what about the people who are already relying on food banks? What are they going to do? They can't afford to stock up, and they won't be able to afford food if the prices double. And it's not about me, it's about the poorest in the world and in our society. It's the poorest who have to live by the rivers that are going to flood every other year because they have no other choice. That's the cheapest land or the free land. It's the poorest who are going to suffer most. And I'm on a spiritual journey as well as a zero waste journey. I've been on this spiritual journey all my life, and one of the things that Jesus was really keen on above anything else was caring for the poorest in society. I think that's one of the things he said, the sheep and the goats, at the end of the day, I'm going to say to you, I didn't know you. I think this is really important spiritually as well. So that's part of why I'm doing this, because yeah, I want change to happen, and I want there to be social justice as well as climate justice. I think the word climate justice has come out of social justice because it's the poorest and the most vulnerable that are going to suffer most. So that's my motivation. I hope that encourages you as well. Now I was going to talk today about not plastic wrap. I keep saying plastic when I don't mean it, don't I? This is my smallest wax wrap. Okay, wax wraps. You can buy wax wraps online in various places. You can also buy them in Oxfam. In all the Oxfam shops, they have various like reusable bottles and cups, and also wax wraps. Wax wraps are quite expensive if you're buying them. They are about £14. Seems to be everywhere that you go, they're about £14. I've not seen a huge difference in price anywhere. But you can make them really easily. This was originally a duvet cover that I got from Oxfam, and I've made loads of things out of it because duvet covers are huge. It's a really cheap way of buying fabric if you're wanting to buy some fabric, and of course it's reusing, it's recycling. This is a very good thing, and you're giving money to a good charity, so it's just win-win-win. So get some fabric if you haven't got it already. If you have them, you want to do pinking shears on the edges. I actually realise this edge hasn't been shorn, so it's not that important because the wax is going to keep it safe as well, so that's no big deal, but it just feels a bit better having being pinked around the edges. And then, like I said in my last video, I'm not going to do you a tutorial. It's beeswax. Make sure it's beeswax and not petroleum wax, not just normal candle wax, but beeswax. Or if you're a vegan, soy wax. Soy wax has a much lower melting point, so I don't know how that affects things. Anyway, wax and a bit of oil. You don't want to use olive oil because olive oil on its own at least can go rancid, so I don't know about that, but I've used jojoba oil, which I'm told is how you're supposed to pronounce it. I'd like it to be pronounced jobba jobba oil because that's what my dyslexic brain says when I see the word. Anyway, so wax and jojoba oil, and then lovely lady, also she's called Rose from the Oxfam shop in Chippenham, gave me some of her leftover, because we were chatting about wax wraps, gave me some of her leftover tree resin. So I've seen online recipes saying that you want pine resin, and Rose reckoned that pine resin smells too much and makes the food taste funny. So she gave me her leftover tree resin, which you then pound up to make it into a powder and sprinkle on. And so I've upgraded all of my wax wraps with her tree resin, which is brilliant, and I'm really pleased with that. So it's a bit stickier than it was. It's not incredibly sticky, and part of the way wax wraps work when you put them on things is that they just hold their shape. So that hasn't exactly stuck to itself, it's just holding its shape, which is fine, it works. So wax wraps, looking after them. You want to clean them in cold water, and I just rub them with my hands in cold water, and that gets them clean. After a few months use, depending on how often you use it, when it's been scrunched up loads of times, it starts to break down. I must have put more pine resin on this actually because it's not doing it so much, so that's quite nice. But you can see where it starts to fold, the wax sort of breaks off a bit. So every now and then you need to refresh them. And this is my new bit. Now you might have realised I'm doing all my videos in one take because I don't know how to edit videos. And if you want posh edited videos, this is not the place for you. Okay, this is how I am updating my wax wraps. I am putting, I hope my camera doesn't fall off, a sheet of waxproof paper, baking parchment, on there, and then putting my wax wrap on top, and then another sheet of baking parchment, and then a hot iron, and that just melts it and refreshes it, and the fabric absorbs the excess. And actually the other thing, I don't know if you can hear it, probably not, is that it bubbles, it boils a bit, which means that it is sterilising it. So the heat sterilises it. Smells a bit funny. I made these by putting them in the oven, but if I ever make any more, this is how I'm going to make them again, because this is much easier, and I think I'm wasting less heat as well. So that is my rejuvenated wax wrap, and then you peel it off, you let it cool a little bit, and then you peel it off. You want to peel it off before it solidifies again, and just hold it by the corners and let it dry like that, because if you let it solidify on the paper, it's all lumpy when you peel it off. It doesn't look quite as good. So, back to me. Hello again. So wax wraps are brilliant for covering bowls, covering half-used tins before you put them in the fridge, jugs of stuff. Also, if it's a thing that's not going to be too messy, I'm trying to think. I used it to wrap some vegetables because I was taking them somewhere. Not this little one, obviously I've got bigger ones. Wrapped some vegetables. I picked it up, the vegetable. I thought, how am I going to take this and keep it clean? I need a plastic bag. I don't have any plastic bags anymore. Oh, wax wrap. So I wrapped it up in a wax wrap, and that was fabulous. You can wrap your sandwiches in a wax wrap and put some string around it to keep it on, or elastic band if you've got some. All those sorts of things. I like my wax wraps a lot. I think they're brilliant. I use them all the time. I use them to cover my bread when I'm making bread and it's rising. I put it over the bowl, because if you put a tea towel over it and it rises up and then it sticks to it, it's really hard to clean the tea towel. But the wax wraps just rinse off, or actually it just peels off and it's not a problem. So yes, I think wax wraps are lovely and good, and worth making yourself. They're quite good fun. I made them loads and gave them as presents to all the aunties at Christmas. They seemed to enjoy them. Aunties, if you're watching, you can comment below, tell me if you've used them. That would be lovely. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say for today. That's already quite a long, 12 minutes. So yes, thank you for your encouragement, those of you who've encouraged me. It is a journey, and you're not going to get there day one, but any little difference you can make is a good thing. If you think about that one straw, one less bit of rubbish you use each day is 360 bits of rubbish by the end of the year. And then if you multiply that by 6 billion people, we can make a difference. Okay, great. See you soon. Bye.